KOIKIMEDIA, we're bringing the world closer to your doorstep.
KOIKIMEDIA, 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 we bringing the world closer to your doorstep.
KOIKIMEDIA, 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 we bringing the world closer to your doorstep.
Àwọn sálára àgbà yìí dá, àwa ló láṣà àti èdè. Gbígbédè lárugẹ nílẹ̀ Oòduà o, àwa gangan ni bàbá.
KOIKIMEDIA, 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 we bringing the world closer to your doorstep.
They never sabi wetin we carry for her.
But they move closer before they go sabi.
I said they never know wetin we carry for body.
But they move closer before they go sabi.
Ọ̀kín lọ lọ́jà ẹyẹ, ìníhùn ló ló lajú.
Ẹyẹ tó dorí kodò bí àdán ọ̀pẹ̀jẹ̀ lẹ́nu.
Ká ṣiṣẹ́ fún ilẹ̀ bàbá wa, ká ṣiṣẹ́ fún ìlú bàbá wa, ká jùmọ̀ sowọ́pọ̀ ká lè gbódùdúwà ga.
Odùduwà kò bá lè gbé wa.
Ọmọ Odùduwà ṣe gírí, ẹ dìde fún ẹ̀tọ́ adúláwọ̀, ká lè jọ jùmọ̀ gbé délẹ̀ ìlérí, ká wálé gba ògo ilẹ̀ wa, ká ṣiṣẹ́ ká lè jọ gbàdé, ká lè gbàdé adé adúláwọ̀, àwa ni mọ̀lẹ̀ tí yóò tàn káàkiri.
Pé ọmọ Odùduwà ni wá.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwa là ń gbé tó lárugẹ.
Ètò tó pọ̀jù owó tí wọ́n máa ní.
Kásá ẹgbẹ́ polówó ọjà wà kájé bùgbà yín jẹ.
Ètò tó pọ̀jù owó tí wọ́n máa ní.
À ń gbé tó lárugẹ, à ń gbàsà lárugẹ.
Ètò tó pọ̀jù owó tí wọ́n máa ní.
News and sports ẹ máa rí gbọ́.
Ètò tó pọ̀jù owó tí wọ́n máa ní.
Ọmọ Ìjẹ̀bú alárẹ̀ mi ló ní kí n máa ké tantan. KOIKIMEDIA, ọ̀rọ̀ lágbájúmọ̀ mi o, máa bá ṣẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ o. Ọmọ Yorùbá nìyẹn, ọmọ Yorùbá tata o. À ń gbádùn rẹ, ọmọ Ìjẹ̀bú alárẹ̀ mi, ṣẹ́yìn ló máa fi dìbò tẹ̀ mọ́lẹ̀ o. Ẹ̀yin lọ́mọ onígbò máa ń dé mádémádé, ẹ̀yin lọ́mọ onígbò máa wọ̀ o. Igbó máa wọ̀ kájòjì ò gbọ́dọ̀ wọ̀, àjòjì tó bá wọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ á tẹ̀lé ní ẹbọra. Ẹ̀yin lọ máa náwó kóyìnbó tó dé, ìgbà tó yìnbó dé o, owó náà dẹ́ tún pọ̀ sí o. KOIKIMEDIA, ṣàwa ni bàbá. KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
Àdáńtọ́ àtúnpèrègèdè.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
Àwa là ń gbé tó lárugẹ, jẹ́ ká jọ gbọ́ o.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
Àtúnjàfẹ́tọ̀ ilẹ̀ wa, fẹ́tọ̀ ilẹ̀ Yorùbá.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
Ọmọ Oòduà ni wá o, tọkàntọkàn.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
Ikú tí ó ṣe bí lébi òsì, àdìmú bàbá yọ.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
We bring you work closer to your doorstep.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
Afẹ́fẹ́ tó ń fẹ́ o tó ń kan gíogó lára ni.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
Àpèrègèdè Olódùmarè ló fún wa ṣe.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
Gbogbo ayé ẹ gbọ́, àwa ni bàbá o.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
Ẹ máa bọ̀ wá ẹgbẹ́ polówó ọjà yín wá o.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
Odùduwà lágbédá ní, òtítọ́ lágbédá ní.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
A kì í sọ̀dálẹ̀, a kì í sọ ní kẹta.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
Àdúró tán, a tún pèrègèdè.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
KOIKIMEDIA, we bring you work closer to your doorstep. KOIKIMEDIA is around
To give us latest.
Is around
To give us latest.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Ẹ mú kalẹ̀ sílẹ̀, ẹ tẹ́tí ẹ gbọ́ ètò tó pójú owó.
ladies and gentlemen,
Ẹ mú kalẹ̀ sílẹ̀, ẹ tẹ́tí ẹ gbọ́ ètò tó pójú owó.
KOIKIMEDIA is around.
To give us latest.
Perpetually. We thank you for that. But the question is, and the point is today, that without June 12, none of us will be governor and the president will not have been president. We will not have been able to have the democracy that we have today. We thank God for you, for me, and for others. Today is very, very important. I share the pride, the honor, and your sorrows with you. If Abiola were to be alive today, it would be a different story. We know the priceless number of students in Ife, Ekoma, those who sacrifice their life. We are saying, I am one of those who are making the promise to you. We will immortalize them and they are materials, and we will not forget them. I know the truth. I know. change 3 years over 12 months. No, it's not possible. We are trying every means possible to create jobs, to make sure that our students will not graduate and be wandering the street. They deserve a better condition. They deserve better situation. We will do it. I am making you that commitment, but you have to be patient. If you can tell me, any doctor in this country, including the federal government, who has created 16,000 jobs in 1 year. I did. I know it's not enough. I did. I'm very grateful. Now, Nigerian students, there's no need for them initially. Before you is the fact. So magnanimous in your approach. You raise the point of Yoruba. I have sent 30 million naira aside to resettle a diamond of my queen. I have done that and they will be settled.
Sick of this problem. I have been sick of this controversy over living wage or minimum wage. And I believe that something is seriously wrong with the heads of many of our leaders. How can anyone who earns 200,000, 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, not to talk of people who earn 1 million, 2 million, how can they go to sleep in good conscience every day? How can they go to sleep in good conscience and come out to sit down in a boardroom to discuss the sustainability or otherwise of paying 60,000 to the poorest of workers? How can we go to bed and sleep, all those who belong to the elite, who earn 2, 3, 4, 500,000, 1 million? How can you go to sleep in good conscience, I say, if you still have any conscience? How can you go to sleep in good conscience and come out to be debating? I hear people on TV, I watch people on TV, experts, economic experts, corporate executives, government officials, who are taking home more than $1 million in a month. And they are there arguing that 60,000 or over will destroy the economy. It's not sustainable. How wicked! You give 60,000 to a poor worker a poor worker who may have a family of 2 or 3 or 4 for his feeding, for his accommodation, for his house rent, for his medical care, for his children's school fees. How wicked! How blind! How can we do that? And we think that God will bless our country? We think that it is by bringing a new national anthem for God to bless our country. How can you commit this crime against humanity? For me, this is a crime against humanity. Because the poor people who cannot afford to buy gari, I'm not saying they will buy that they are to buy sardine. I'm saying buy gari, poor people who cannot buy gari. I'm not talking of meat or fish. Poor people are dying because they have no money to cure malaria. How can you go to sleep in good conscience? Those of us who belong to the elite, how can we go to sleep with good conscience and we are debating and we are discussing and we vote 500 million naira to meet and debate about paying 60,000 to the poor? My dear friends, I see this as a new form of apartheid. Nigeria is one of the most unequal societies in the entire world. A society where it's like the animal farm. A society where we have conspicuously rich people, people who are living in conspicuous consumption, and others who are in deplorable, dehumanizing poverty. If you have somebody in this country that takes home 1 million naira, I mean 1 million, I'm not talking of 30 million naira, 1 million naira in the month, and he can open his mouth to be part of a discussion about the poor getting 60,000 naira. I say anyone who earns up to 1 million naira in the month should keep his or her mouth shut when he hears them debating about taking 60,000 for the poor. More than 60 years after independence, we are running an apartheid society. This time it's not racial apartheid, it's economic apartheid. We are running an apartheid society of people of conspicuous consumption, flying in private jets around at government expense, people who are riding 4, 5, 6, 7 SUVs with pilot vehicles, chasing the poor out of the road, and poor people, you are debating, you are discussing, you are over 60,000 for the poor. You insult the poor by saying 30,000, and later you say 48,000, and now you say 60,000, and you pay more than 60,000, you come out with 62,000. You insult poor Nigerians. I say there is hardly any society I know that is as divided as the Nigerian society. And a society that is so divided is just sitting on a keg of gunpowder. I have warned here before that the revenge of the poor is at the corner. The revenge of the poor is at the corner. I am not calling for it, but it will happen as night follows the day. Because when you so reduce people, you reduce people to this dehumanizing level. Nature does not allow a situation of islands of affluence amidst a sea of poverty. Nature does not allow it. And let me warn those in the elite. Let me warn those in the tripartite committee of government. Let me warn that it is in the course of nature that when a predator continues to devour the very resources that the predator needs for his own sustenance, nature will take out the predator in order to have equilibrium, in order to have a measure of equilibrium. Nature is about balance, you know. All of nature is about balance. And human beings are part of nature. And Nigerians are part of nature. If the predator who needs the animals in the kingdom, it needs the animals to survive, if it is recklessly devouring the very animals it needs for its own survival, if it is devouring it recklessly and senselessly, nature will step in and remove the predator so that there can be balance in the system, in the ecosystem. Let me warn that all those who are in government, I hear, I have not confirmed, that there are people taking home almost 30 million naira in the month. And you have the guts, and you have the temerity to sit down, and your conscience allows you to sit down to discuss about 60,000 naira for poor worker for the whole month, and you are the one that has all the opportunities of excess code and all kinds of perquisites of office. You sit down to discuss about 60,000, and that is all that the person will have in the month. You sit down to discuss this and come out and say, this is not sustainable. How is 30 million naira sustainable in that economy? How is it sustainable that the leader has 100 SUVs going with him to the airport? How is it sustainable? How is it sustainable that government leaders junket around the world? How is that sustainable? I say we are committing a crime against humanity. And if we do not repent and retrace our steps immediately, the revenge of the poor is at the corner. Do not hold me responsible. Because while the devastation was on, I did not keep quiet. Do not hold me responsible. Because while the madness was on, I did not sit on the fence. I kept on shouting that the revenge of the poor is at the corner unless we change our course. And if we do not change our course, we will end up where we are headed. And where we are headed is devastation, is destruction, is violent revolution. I rest my case.
We can say now banditry is an industry in Zamfara State. Last month, we arrested a member of the State House of Assembly in banditry here in Zamfara State. We arrested a district head. We also as well arrested a former local government chairman. So you can see that involvement of this class of people in banditry is making the situation to become more and more complex. So in essence, I can say that all caliber of people now are involved. All manner of people are involved in this banditry. More alarming and more disturbing is the involvement of a district head in supplying drugs to the bandits. So in that respect, your presence here today, we can say now banditry is an industry in Zamfara State. Last month, we arrested a member of the State House of Assembly in banditry here in Zamfara State. We arrested a district head. We also as well arrested a former local government chairman. So you can see that involvement of this class of people in banditry is making the situation to become more and more complex. So in essence, I can say that all caliber of people now are involved. All manner of people are involved in this banditry. More alarming and more disturbing is the involvement.
Which is it for you, Dr. Obadiah? Do you think the government is unwilling or unable to protect the people of Southern Kaduna?
In fact, it is not only unable, it is unwilling, and we have good reason to feel that they are part and parcel of the killers. Let me make some revelations to you.
That's a very big allegation, Dr. Obadiah. The government is part and parcel of the killers.
Yes.
That's big.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. How will the government just say, oh, it is revenge killing and so on? Then you leave it there. Oh, because it is revenge killing and so on and so forth. The body language of this administration, the body language of the state government shows clearly that they have a hand in the killings. No doubt about it. Because, you see, General Abacha, and people don't give him his due. Do you think you would have tolerated such nonsense? And let me make some revelations, because some of us also have our own intelligence networks.
Okay.
Have met with some of the bandits. We have met with some of their high commanders. One or two who have repented. They have sat down with us, not once, not twice. They told us that one of the northern governors is the commander of Boko Haram in Nigeria. Boko Haram and the bandits are one and the same thing. They have a sophisticated network. During this lockdown, their planes were moving up and down as though there was no lockdown. Moving ammunitions, moving logistics, moving money, and distributing them in different parts of the country. They're already in the south, in the rainforest of the south. They're everywhere. They told us that when they finish these rural killings, they will move to phase 2. The phase 2 is they will go into the urban cities, going from house to house, killing prominent people. I can tell you, this is the game plan. By 2022, they want to start a civil war in Nigeria.
Wow. Well, the civil war has not started yet, but there's more killings that is taking place across Nigeria. A very good evening and welcome to Koiki Media Live. The 14th of June, 2024. It is almost 7 p.m. local time in London, where I am doing this live broadcast from. I would like to appreciate everyone that have joined us. Please don't ever ask me to speak in Yoruba. If I'm speaking in English, I am not communicating to you alone. I have audience that are international journalists, and they are following as much of what is happening in Nigeria, even though they might not be responding. So sometimes we just want to communicate in a language that can carry as many people along. Mokiwakwe, a very good evening, and as we look forward to the big day, which is Sunday, as many Muslims across Yoruba land and around the world will be celebrating a very important part of what is called Islam, a peaceful religion, a religion that is well respected across the globe, but it seems that there is a different agenda, as we have watched and listened carefully, that the agenda that our governors are probably missed out. Hopefully, they will come back to their real sense by saying that Yoruba nation, they are condemning it. Well, they probably can condemn Yoruba nation and condemn their life, but Yoruba people have spoken, just like Tinubu said some 25 years ago, where Orileede Yoruba, Ole Daduro, Ole Shejobare. From there, we say happy Friday to everyone, and those that are Christians, I hope you'll be celebrating the festival with as many Muslim brothers as we have done in the past, before this evil of this hatred between Christian, Muslims, and our tradition. So on a Sunday, ẹni tó bá láǹfààní àti pẹran, ẹ súnmọ́ àwọn tó pẹran, ẹ bá wọn ṣayẹyẹ, ẹ bá wọn ṣe gbogbo tẹ́ bá lè ṣe across Yoruba land, because poverty is real. And if you are not affected with poverty, you might not literally understand. I will not be mentioning names and be welcoming you because we just want to go into the program. As much as I feel a little bit tired, but I thought it is worth knocking off, especially things that are accumulating, and I've not been able to use my software for some time now. KOIKIMEDIA Watowa Pelua Akalamago, and many people that have joined us, and let us just go straight into it. Well, there's a lot to catch up, and there's a lot to share. But the most important thing that everybody needs to understand is Nigeria is going down. Whether you like it or not, whether these governors, including Kwara and Kogi, accept or not, Yoruba people are speaking out. And they are speaking out under the leadership of Professor ADEBANJI Akintoye. And whether Tinubu likes it or not, Tinubu said the same thing, but whether he will implement it is what we have not been able to confirm yet. It's only 1 year to the office. It's a big position as a president. It is different from the governor. He has the power to make things happen. How he makes use of it to reflect back to what he said 25 years ago. It is already a countdown. 1 year is already gone. He has 3 years to go. Call on Funlemi Gugun Atalapia. We as Yoruba, we are not praying for the death of Tinubu. And if you're one of those praying for Tinubu to die, then you got to prepare in your mind that Shetima will take over. That is the constitution, even though we might not agree with that fraudulent constitution. So, Intobamu Tinubu ko pai, then Shetima automatically becomes the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And that is the reason why we are likely to be still have Tinubu there, but make as much push and get the hell out of Nigeria. He does not have to accept it. He said it, even himself, 25 years ago. Orileede Yoruba le dá dúró. Whatever has changed in 25 years, whether it is the forces outside Nigeria, because many of you don't understand the forces behind Nigeria. You are looking at the Sultan of Sokoto, but there are many forces, the Arab countries, the Western country, and wọ́n ló jẹ́ the backing for Nigeria, and that is what happened when the Biafra War took place, when Britain was supporting Nigeria. So this time around, ta ló ń support Tinubu àti ta ni Tinubu kó ṣọ̀kànlọ̀ sí lọ́wọ́? Is it France? Is it America? Is it UK? Who actually is President Tinubu leaning towards? We know that he might not lean towards the Arab like Buhari did, dead or alive. It doesn't matter whether Buhari died, he's still alive. It doesn't make any difference. Buhari killed 29,000 Yoruba people within 8 years, and including Osibajo. Both of them were working hand in hand. And I saw Osibajo on LinkedIn writing out about, fintech that doesn't have electricity in his own village. Short man devil. So coming back to the discussion, Tinubu níbo lòun fì sí? Let's start with that. We have two very important people. Tinubu is important, whether we like it or not, to the Yorubas that believe in him, that it will change the dynamic and it will be the last president without us going back for another election, with the Northerners preparing their mind as El-Rufai is trying to prepare himself for that position, including many other Northerners. If you are thinking that Igbo will be president, you are dreaming. The North would rather not allow the Igbos to be the president. So they've been already cut out of Nigeria. So it is now between the Yoruba and the North. If you're thinking about the Middle Belt, they are not going to be the president. So Tinubu seems to be the man that has been able, after MK Abiola, and we have to be truth about it. He was able to find his way one way or the other, whether through rigging, as one of their chairman, I believe is the vice chairman of the APC. I'll see if I can find that video. As I saw that video, he actually stated it, that the next election in 2027 will be rigged by the APC, because there is not likely that the APC will win that election, so they will have to rig it. But that is not what we are going to start with. Ìbéèrè tí mo tún find out, if Tinubu said that Yoruba can be a country just about 25 years ago, ọmọ tó bá bí ní 1999 is also 25 years. But what has changed? Ṣé ẹnu tó fi sọ̀rọ̀ yẹn ló change ní àbí báwo? Àbí there are some other forces that Tinubu has forced himself, as he wanted to be the president. Maybe he signed, maybe he's giving something out for something. He's just been given a $2.5 billion loan by the World Bank. What are the behind the curtains? What are the things transpiring that Yoruba people tá mọ̀ nípa ẹ̀? Kí làwọn kan tí Tinubu ń ṣe lẹ́yìn, so that it does not have another impact that the Yoruba people will stuck in Nigeria for more years that we don't want to. Yoruba people say they are tired, but Tinubu said he's not yet tired. He wants to remain to keep Nigeria together, in as much as many of us are already mourning that Nigeria is no longer visibly working whether you like it or not. It is not about the kidnappers. It is not about the terrorist Fulani that they are calling the bandit. It's all about the future of the Yoruba people that we are discussing. Tinubu lost the leverage of the Yoruba to become the president. We know that is a fact. But before we go further, like I said, I believe, let me quickly bring this in so that we can just lock it together and understand that if anybody is thinking that Tinubu, that is the current president, would do something different, time is no longer on his side. If he has to do anything, he has to do it now, because many people are also praying for him to fight, and that means that somebody else become the president. So let's see. We come back to Akintoye, because Tinubu said his own some 25 years ago. Wherever Akintoye was in 25 years in 1999, we believe that Akintoye was not in Nigeria. He was still presently outside Nigeria, doing his own little thing until he returned back to Nigeria and then realized that what could be the benefit for the Yoruba people is to exit Nigeria. But would Tinubu accept that and agree with Akintoye, Abi Omashori Kunkun, and disagree with him? Because if Tinubu is saying that it can be, Yoruba can stand on its own, then 25 years down the line, he's being reminded by somebody like Professor Banji Akintoye that ọ̀rọ̀ tó sọ ní 25 years ago, whether true or false, is it still possible to make that happen? That is why Akintoye sọ pé let us put the negotiation on the table for Tinubu to the end of this month. Kò ní láti accept it, but that is the normal way diplomacy works. Let's listen to this and then I'll come back again in a minute.
Did you voice these complaints with the president? Look, did he give any assurance? What kind of did he give you any assurances afterwards? Who? Did you voice these complaints with the president? Look, did he give any assurances after you voiced this complaint?
I have not had access to him, and it's part of the reason why I said I'm going back to the trenches. Because the beauty of democracy is the fact that, look, we are all free. I mean, nobody, even under military, when we go to campaign, we get arrested. Not once, not twice. Under democracy, I have the constitutional right to go and mobilize people who... And we have to start the process of organizing.
I mean, it's obvious that you're not the only person in your party.
Certainly, I'm not. Yeah. The issue really is everybody is waiting for who will bear the cat. And for me, we have to break that ice and give people the confidence to really come together. I have said it, I don't hide it. APC as it is now and its government can only win election in 2027 if they rig. I don't see, based on what is going on, how citizens can willingly go and vote APC. Already, I mean, it's...
That is the vice chairman of the APC, a criminal political party that have deceived Yoruba people, deceived Nigerians. So, ẹ jẹ́ ká padà sí the program itself. Nígbà tí Tinubu ń sọ̀rọ̀ yẹn, was it something that came from his heart? Ṣé nǹkan tó wá látọkùn ẹ̀ ni? Àbí he just preparing himself to become the president in the future, and then took advantage and told Yoruba people that Yoruba can leave Nigeria as he stated it 25 years ago. ó lè gbèjà rẹ̀, ó lè dá dúró. So that means that the president should be looking into our letter as against Buhari, because Buhari ò kì í ṣe ọmọ Yorùbá, ọmọ Fúlàní ni, Gàmbàrí ni. So in tó mú Tinubu sọ̀rọ̀ yìí, that means he should respect Baba Akintoye letter and allow a kind of negotiation, a dialogue, a discussion, a roundtable conversation on the future of the Yoruba people. Or ṣé Tinubu máa wà adamant? Is he going to push and continue to push until Nigeria sink further than what it should not be? Tinubu can be the last president, but is he going to do it, or are there going to be more elements of evil people? And I'm talking about the European, the Western agenda that still want to maintain a status quo of a fraudulent country that they are benefiting, and then they are calling us Nigerian culture, which we know that there's nothing called Nigerian culture. Baba Akintoye stated clearly that the good news for prosperity is the same thing Tinubu saw, but it seems that Baba Akintoye has been able to explain it further for Tinubu that look, àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá ò mọ purpose tó ṣe jẹ́ kó lọ. Maybe this time around, with this good news, who should we believe among the two leaders? Tinubu is well loved by many Yoruba people. You cannot deny that. But among the two of them, one spoke about 25 years ago. One is now speaking presently and telling us that in tó lè mú kí Yorùbá kó ní àṣeyọrí, òun ni pé kí Yorùbá dá dúró nínú Nàìjíríà. So ìkan sọ fún wa ní 25 years ago pé Yorùbá lè gbèjà rẹ̀. What he's saying is that we can fight on our own, which is what we are doing, but we've not been able to carry gun. We have not destroyed anything. We have not burned down any places. It's because we are doing it in accordance to how the diplomacy, the dialogue under the United Nations and the European and the African Charter. And this is why Baba Akintoye stated this in this interview that has been watched many times. But because we are now discussing two different people, 25 years ago and like 4 years ago, ṣé 25 years yẹn ti pẹ́ jù àbí ó ṣì wà in very, very moderate for Baba Akintoye to remind Tinubu that into Sunday 25 years ago, you can still work with it, but ṣé Tinubu can work with it? Let's just listen back carefully to how Baba Akintoye was able to present himself just after the criminal element of those that wanted to destroy and infiltrated Yoruba Nation campaign under Baba Akintoye. This is how Baba Akintoye was able to address during that interview that he.
But there seems to be some confusion in Yoruba land. I see that maybe perhaps the generality of the people do not feel as passionate about self-determination. And secondly, there is all kinds of positions.
Who are the people that are not passionate? Is it Tinubu that is not passionate that Abati could not talk about? Because Tinubu was passionate about Yoruba, Orileede Yoruba, ó lè dá dúró, ó lè ṣèjọba rẹ̀. Kí ló wá mú Tinubu kó má tí fẹ̀gbẹ́nu lé lórí? Time will tell in the next 16 days. Because if Tinubu failed, and I pray he doesn't fail to acknowledge a letter from the leader of the Yoruba self-determination under the same thing tí Tinubu náà sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí in 1999. That is the genesis of a failure to start with. I am not talking about the Tinubu fixing Nigeria or not. If he fixes Nigeria, it is fine. It is not going to stop Yoruba people láti exit that crazy shit hole country that many of you think that can still work. So we are dealing with two individuals. One is a very elderly statesman that has seen the vision, that has worked with the late legend Jeremiah Awolowo. One was also one that worked with most of them, but is now the leader of a political party that has become the president. So Yorùbá nísìn ti pín sí, forget about all the other ones. We are talking about two important people here. Any other person, forget about them, because Afenifere has lost the plot. Because Afenifere could not talk to Tinubu. Already is a divided union. So we now have Akintoye and Tinubu. Tinubu is the one pushing the narrative that Abati is telling Akintoye that ẹ jẹ́ ká gbọ́ nǹkan tí Abati tún sọ ní bíbá again.
Afenifere is talking about restructuring. You are talking about self-determination.
You don't know this.
That's all. But there seems to be some confusion.
Where is the confusion? Tinubu ló ń gbé confusion bá ọmọ Yorùbá. Tinubu gangan ní igi tó ń da gbogbo ẹ̀rú because òun gangan ní confusionist. But some are saying that it is too early. 1 year is not enough for Tinubu to prepare and dissolve Nigeria so that everybody goes back to their separate ways. But he must first respect that sí ní military. It was the same military ló gbé Tinubu sá kúrò ní Nigeria that he was almost going to be killed. He ran out of Nigeria, he survived it, he came back. So if Tinubu failed to respond to Akintoye's letter, then we have the right to move out and continue our more campaign on the street of every part of Yoruba land without Tinubu stopping us. And if Tinubu decides to stop us, then they are preparing for what the pastor said. I am not going to tell you what the pastor said. That is what I told you at the beginning, so that some of us can start preparing our mind. Because tabajade tó di pé wọ́n yìnbọn ọmọ Yorùbá kan again, then that means pé agenda Tinubu ni pé he wants us to remain in Nigeria. He doesn't have to accept us, but he must allow a peaceful demonstration of people that disagree with his own view to keep us in Nigeria. But gbogbo eléyìí nísìn is about timing. We have 16 days. Tinubu ò gbọdọ̀ sọ pé òun ò rí lẹ́tà yẹn, kò dẹ̀ gbọdọ̀ sọ pé òun ò mọ̀ nípa ẹ̀. If that comes up, that means the Tinubu that many of you are supporting is also another hidden agenda to keep Yoruba people inside Nigeria. Look, asking for a dissolution of Nigeria, if Tinubu accept our letter, then we can start discussing. The discussion can take, months, years. It's not going to happen overnight. But for the fact that we can present our own committee, he can bring his own committee, we will go to a neutral ground, even if it's Qatar, even if it's anywhere, with United Nations, African Union, European Union, to start discussion. That is the beginning and the genesis of how Yoruba will pull out. But tí Tinubu bá ní kò sí nǹkan tó náà ṣẹlẹ̀, tóun náà dẹ̀ fẹnu ara ẹ̀ sọ ní 25 years ago, he is preparing for the worst case scenario that we are avoiding. Because we can no longer continue to live in denial that a Yoruba man that spoke about Yoruba people in 25 years ago, ó wá di lẹ́ni, ó wá sọ pé òun ò ní accept letter wa. Let's listen to how Akintoye addressed that issue. Afenifere could not address any more issue. Ọ̀rọ̀ restructure, it is too late for restructure. Restructuring is not going to work. So gbogbo táwọn Afenifere sọ yẹn is either they come back in the line of Yoruba people pulling out. Tinubu náà fẹnu ara ẹ̀ sọ where we can pull out. So if Afenifere is still saying Afe restructure, it's like they are just wasting and denying Yoruba people as much effort that would have come from their own side. Because if Afenifere comes out, like I told Baba Adebanji when I saw him, they are killing fún Yoruba nation. You are telling me that you want Yoruba nation behind the curtain. But the Yoruba people are saying that it is not yet clear. As you saw a restructure, come out in a very communique and state it clearly. We want to exit Nigeria. There's nothing calling it. There's nothing to be scared about it. But in terms of me, Oyato, let's listen. I know we've listened to this. That is why I have played Tinubu 8-minute video of 25 years ago. Eleta Komama play the scene is about the 1 minute where he actually stated clearly that Yoruba le dado. And maybe you didn't listen to it earlier. Let's go back and listen to how Tinubu was addressing Nigerians, Yorubas mostly, because àwọn Yoruba ló ń bá sọ̀rọ̀. Kò ń ṣe Igbo ní Tinubu ń bá sọ̀rọ̀ ní 1999. Kò dẹ̀ ń ṣe àwọn Gàmbàrí. Àwọn Yorùbá tó ń gbé ní ibi tó ti ń ṣe ìjọba lé wọn lórí ló ń bá sọ̀rọ̀ ó lè ń jẹ́ kó yé wọn pé ìjọba Yorùbá náà lè wà ó ti débẹ̀ nísìnyí ṣó máa ṣe kò ń sọ̀rọ̀ pé ó fẹ́ restructure because ọ̀rọ̀ restructure kan ní Tinubu mention ní 1999 he was talking about how Yoruba people can have their whole country. Let's listen to him. Ìyà tó ń jẹ ọmọ Yorùbá lẹ́yìn. You will wonder that 25 years ago, yes, maybe they were just starting back, you know, the military destroyed so much, and the military destruction of Nigeria is the backing of the European and the Western country. Because àwọn ló ń fueli àwọn military yẹn because they were making use of many money that could not be accounted for. If we have to go and start doing auditing throughout the period of how the military were running the affairs of Nigeria, you will be asking yourself how much money got stolen out of Nigeria that end up in the European banks and the most countries that are still supporting the agenda of Nigeria to remain one. Because while the military were there, they were giving us the impression, oh, military regime is not good, but make sure that you just allow a proper system to continue to operate. And they knew that the military agenda was not good for a country that is so divided at the beginning. But because only táwọn náà ń jẹ lára Nigeria, they kept muted, they kept quiet. So everybody was, you know, chop there, chop there. Now, it is not military, it is a democracy, they told us. But Tinubu was giving us his own view as a Yoruba man in 1999 pé òun ò believe in restructure Nigeria. Òun ò believe in the regional government. Pé Orileede Yoruba ó lè dá dúró, ó lè ṣèjọba tiẹ̀. Ìyà tó ń jẹ wá ní 25 years ago, ó mà ti double nísìnyí ọmọ Yorùbá. Ìyà tó ń jẹ ọmọ Yorùbá ní 25 years ago, ó ti wà multiply because the cost of living in 1999, if you go back to 1999, you realize that it has become very difficult. Very, very difficult for many Yoruba people láti lè fi ọwọ́ sẹ́nu. They are struggling. They are struggling. Kódà, they are working hard, hustling, but also yan jáde. You know why? Because the economy was destroyed. It was destroyed not by this particular government alone, by also the criminal government that started with the PDP from 1999 up to when APC took over 9 years ago. Because adding Tinubu to what has been happening before is 9 years. And the evidence continue to point, is a pointer that the Yoruba people will continue to languish in poverty, whether Tinubu was there or is not there. Because Tinubu was not there 25 years ago. It was Obasanjo. But we saw that Obasanjo could not fulfill Yoruba people to have 3 square meals. He created his own farm system that was working, but the rest of the Nigerians do not have a working farming system. So today, as Tinubu has now taken over after 25 years, we have seen and we are still seeing level of poverty as many people are crying out. Many people are asking that, how did we get to where Yoruba people can no longer feed themselves? Ọdún ló ń bọ̀ nísìn, ọmọ Yorùbá ò lè fi ọwọ́ sẹ́nu. Many of them cannot put food on the table on Sunday. Ẹni tó máa ṣọdún ẹ̀ ti mọ̀ lẹ́nìí, ó jẹ́ kí ẹran tó máa lò kó ti wà nígboro, kó ti máa lò, kó ti máa rí. But as of today, millions of Yoruba people that are Muslim, law-abiding Muslim, well-articulated Muslim, not the jihadist Muslim that have infiltrated Nigeria by ISIS, ISWAP, and many of them. Let's listen to how this man told us that ebi tó ń pa òun kò ń ṣe 25 years ago, ebi tèmi ló ń pa òun.
Kazeem Hussein, olú ti sú wa, eku òkè bí eku mọ́. Ẹyẹ òkè bí ẹyẹ mọ́ gàrí là mú sá ẹ̀mí. Kazeem Hussein, olú ti sú wa, eku òkè bí eku mọ́, ẹyẹ òkè bí ẹyẹ mọ́ gàrí là ń mu sá ẹ̀mí àtàwọn abí mi àlè jẹ ráìsì mọ́ ẹ̀wà náà ti wọ́n.
wọ́n lè jẹ ráìsì mọ́ wọ́n lè mu gàrí mọ́. This was not when Tinubu was telling us about ebi ń pa ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ní 25 years ago. We are talking about another 2 decades and it don't exist nígbà tí Tinubu ò sí ní power. Òun la ṣe ń feel lẹ́nìí. Why are we still feeling it? Àwọn kan ní it is too early to start blaming Tinubu because Tinubu is not the one that have brought Nigeria to his knee. No, you are lying. Tinubu brought a evil man, a monster, a criminal that should be handed over to the ICC, known as Buhari, a man that destroyed Nigeria further than any other president that we have witnessed in that shithole country you call Nigeria. So Tinubu must be blamed. He must be even blamer than anybody. Because when the man said we cannot blame Tinubu, we have to blame Tinubu for bringing a Fulani man because Tinubu wanted to be president, so he submitted himself to the north for Buhari to come and suffer us and make sure that all our territories can no longer become viable in terms of farming. So bàbá tó ń sọ̀rọ̀ yìí kò ń ṣe 1999 ni bàbá yìí sọ̀rọ̀. Bàbá yìí sọ̀rọ̀ débi pé ẹ̀yin tẹ kàwé Awólọ́wọ̀, Tinubu kàwé Awólọ́wọ̀. Tinubu also took advantage that he was part of Awolowo free education. But today, bàbá yìí máa ń sunkún, bàbá yìí máa ń kígbe síta, kò ń ṣe 1999. Bàbá yìí sọ pé in tí Tinubu sọ ní 1999 ẹ̀kọ́ àtàrọ̀. In tó sọ ní 1999 kò mà tí ì múṣẹ. Àwọn kan ní no. 1 year is just too early. We have to give Tinubu more time. Well, time is not behind or waiting for anybody. Let's listen to this man as the man was mourning. And it's not just one man. We're talking about over 30 million Yoruba people. They have to wait for somebody to give them 1,000 naira, to give them 2,000, 10,000 today, and hopefully they'll come back another day. And even some of them might be lying, but 30 million Yoruba people are already in the same situation like the people in Sudan and Somalia as I speak to you today.
Olú ti sú wa eku òkè bí eku mọ́ ẹyẹ òkè bí ẹyẹ mọ́ gàrí là ń mu sá èmi àtàwọn abí mi àlè jẹ ráìsì mọ́ ẹ̀wà náà ti wọ́n gàrí ọ̀gá títí 1-2 ó ti sú mi orílẹ̀-èdè ti sú mi báyìí kọ́ ni wọ́n bá tẹ́lẹ̀ gbogbo àwọn tẹ́ ní ọ̀la yìí ẹ̀kọ́ ọ̀fẹ́ ni wọ́n ká o ẹ̀kọ́ Awólọ́wọ̀ wọn ká àlérànmọ́ sùkúù mọ́ ayé yóò dáa ó ti sú wa o wọ́n bá wá nǹkan sí i àti pólítì ẹ rí i pé orí mi gan ti pa ó ti sú wa o orílẹ̀-èdè wọ́n bá wá nǹkan ṣe sí o ráìsì ti di àyìn gàrí ti 1-2 mo tún gbọ́ pé ráìsì ti di 80,000 àpò wọ́n bá wá nǹkan ṣe sí i tá a bá tún abẹ́rẹ́ epo báyìí epo 580 and sorry 680 700 là ń rà kí ló dé kí la ṣe àwa akórópè gbogbo ẹ̀pọ̀n ní òmò gbóná lálẹ́ tá a mọ̀ fún mi wẹ́ẹ̀tì ẹ̀ pẹ́pẹ́ kan ọmọ lànà àníríì kankan epo náà ní bá lọ.
These are the cry that this other man saw, witnessed, and decided to voice out as a true leader that is concerned, worried about this other man that just spoke. And this is the man that we're talking about.
Yoruba land. I see that maybe perhaps the generality of the people do not feel as passionate about self-determination. And secondly, there is all kinds of positions. Afenifere is talking about restructuring. You are talking about self-determination.
You don't know this. You don't know the nature of the Yoruba society. You don't. Most of the young people, and they are the majority in Yoruba land, want the self-determination of their Yoruba nation. That's the truth of the matter. That's what is keeping the movement going. And they are also doing so in the diaspora. Yoruba young men and women all over the world want their own country, separate from Nigeria. Then you cannot deny that. No matter how much you want to pander to the government, you cannot deny that. That is the truth.
But anyway,
The important thing, however, and I'm surprised that you are not talking about that, is that the Yoruba people who are fighting for self-determination are telling the world and telling themselves that they will do it only peacefully. We are Yoruba. We know our status in the world. We know our status in the black world. We do not want to destroy the peace of Nigeria. And we do not want to bring difficulty to the lives of any other group in Nigeria. But we want to get out of Nigeria. That's it.
Well, Prof, you were a strong member.
I'm not talking about that. You are.
And we want to get out of Nigeria. So now, Yoruba, I want us to go into a thinking conversation. Tinubu, that many are expecting something out of his own government. What actually are you expecting? To drive Nigeria to a better place? A country that is completely done and dusted? Or should we allow a complete dissolution of the same Orileede? Because the two of them are calling Orileede. It can't be 25 years ago. One is calling it frequently, recently, that many of us have been able to look into it and then weigh the option. In Tiko Shemu àwọn Yorùbá kankan lọ vote in 2023 is because they are listening to Akintoye. The Akintoye is giving us something that will allow us to be free for the rest of our lives. But Tinubu wants us to remain Nigerians along the line, then play the same Maradona that he played in the 1999 using the same Orileede. So it's like everybody's just using the word Oòduà ni mí, tọkàntọkàn, Oòduà ni mí. And we realize that it doesn't need to be, told that Yoruba people should be pulling out now, not in the next 3 years. Tinubu bá wà the power. The longer he's there, the dangerous it is for me and you. It's not about Tinubu anymore. It's about the danger that the country is going down and it could drag every one of us into that mud. Maybe some of Yoruba people here understand. Maybe some of you that are thinking that, let Tinubu continue to be there. Be out of back for only 4 years. Kosha wa ma sọ̀rọ̀ Yoruba nation. Báwo la ṣe ń ronú bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn? Irú ronú wo nìyẹn? We should be talking about how Tinubu should be dissolving Nigeria right now, not in the next 3 years, not tomorrow. It should be discussion now. That discussion starts from the 30th of June with a letter that has been presented to Tinubu by the leader of the movement. If Tinubu failed to come back with an acknowledgement, then it shows that Tinubu agenda is not the same agenda tó ń sọ ní 25 years ago. That means the selfish interest èmi ló kàn tó ń sọ yẹn orí ni wàá kàn pé kò kàn àwa tó kù. And that means that Tinubu must beef up and prepare for the Yorubas that would then demand that same right, which might be more than the others that we have done in the past. And what I mean by that is there will be much more rigorous rally and protest that will be pulling out in the Yoruba land to prepare our people so that many of them can be carried along. But like I said, that can be something that in the next 16 days, Tinubu can say, okay, òun ti rí lẹ́tà yín, I will start thinking about how we can facilitate a date. And we're not talking about a date after Tinubu is almost getting ready to go out of the office. It has to be done as quickly as possible because it is a matter of urgency. Ọ̀rọ̀ Yoruba nation today is a matter of urgency that Tinubu should not be joking with. Ọ̀rọ̀ tó le, tó heavy ni. He should not just brush it aside and say, káṣíkóṣí wà lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ kan náà. The more tó bá wà lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ kan, the more the danger is going to come for every one of us. You will continue to be infiltrated by the terrorists. Tinubu will not be able to stop them because Tinubu does not have the will and the power to stop the Fulani agenda from the Sahel coming into Yoruba land and every part of Nigeria. So Tinubu gbọ́dọ̀ ẹ̀jẹ̀rẹ̀ tí ẹ̀ ń sọ pé kí Tinubu, let's give him more time. The more time we are giving, the more it could be dangerous for me and you. It does not matter whether you are a diaspora that is outside or you are a Nigerian Yoruba that is inside. Gbogbo wa will be very, very affected. Firstly, the agenda is clear. We have listened to the late Malapi Obadia. We have listened to many evidence. I have just shown you evidence at the beginning. And I can just remind you that those evidence are clear that the agenda of the Fulani terrorists is to take our land, take our resources, and if possible, drive us out. The more Tinubu bá ń delay ọ̀rọ̀ yìí, the more the agenda is still stronger for them. Because at the moment, Tinubu has at least the edge to say, okay, ẹ jẹ́ ká sọ̀rọ̀. But if the agenda tó ṣe pẹ̀lú àwọn north, because we don't know what is the agreement between Tinubu and the north and the west and the east and those outside that are controlling Nigeria as proxies. Because we are seeing them talking about, oh, we are building embassy there, we have Nigerian culture, and as I was looking at the British High Commission in Nigeria today, I kept wondering myself, ṣé àwọn people ìtẹ̀ rò pé ọ̀dẹ̀ ní gbogbo wa ni? If you are able to do what you did some years back, we are now much more exposed to evidence that bears that your destruction in Yoruba land today, ẹ̀yin lẹ destroy it. And I want us to follow this conversation by the British High Commission in Nigeria as they were continue to tell us that, oh, if you want to export cotton to UK, if you want to, let's watch it together. But before that is coming up, let's just listen to this. By the time I come back, I'll take you straight to the British High Commission on the X, on their post in the last couple of days. My name is Koiki. This is Koiki Media, bringing the world closer to your doorstep. Remember that it is important that media is well supported for the work that it is doing, whether you agree with it or not. Gbogbo àwọn media ńláńlá tẹ̀ ń rí yẹn, they are well capable to make as much noise, whether through their satellite beam, whether through their other means. This is the same thing you should be looking up to Koiki Media. We need to penetrate every hooks and corner of Yoruba land with a message of the Yoruba people that wants to exit Nigeria as quickly as possible without being deceived by what the agenda of the governors that are saying that they're condemning the Yoruba nation as if they're condemning their lives. Because Yoruba nation cannot be condemned. Tinubu talked about it 25 years ago, and there's nobody that can stop that same thing. But let's go back and watch this, and I'll come back in a minute.
We can say now banditry is an industry in the state. Last month, we arrested a member of the State House of Assembly in banditry here in the state. We arrested a district head. We also as well arrested a former local government chairman. So you can see that involvement of this class of people in banditry is more making the situation to be more and more complex. So in essence I can say that all caliber of people now are involved. All manner of people are involved in this banditry. More alarming and more disturbing is the involvement of a district head in supplying drugs to the bandits. So in that respect, your presence here today We can say now banditry is an industry in Zamfara State.
Shout out to you, Kunle Bakers, for the super chat, and thank you so much. I hope you're doing very well. Thank you. Keep sharing and also continue to comment. And if you have not done a thumbs up, that is the only thing you can do to keep the algorithm to know that what we are doing here, is working. Now, this is the British High Commission in Nigeria, known as at UK in Nigeria on the X. Let's go to June 7. According to the British High Commission, are you a Nigerian? Number one, we are non-Nigerians. We are Yoruba until you created a formula to call us Nigeria, which is a crime scene. There was nobody called Nigeria as at 1913. There was nobody called Nigeria as at 1912. Nigeria only became existent through a fraudulent system by your country, known as Britain, to force millions of people that have no reason to be together. They could have been separately. And like I told you in my discussion that I talked about some few days back, I talked about a couple of things. I have them here. I'm just going to show you quickly. We talked about the British High Commissioner to Nigeria, known as Lord Tolo. Let me give you some of the screen quickly as I have them here ready for us, and then we'll come back there. So I'm going to say Lord Tolo. Lord Tolo told us that he regretted that Nigeria should never have been a country. This is the man. I've talked about it, but we've not been able to. And you can see again, Tabanike support. The Guardian is another very powerful newspaper in UK. It is saying the same thing that I talked about. Support the platform. Give us your donation so that we can be able to do more when it comes to our platforms. You can see right there. Hang on, just before you close this box, is it possible that you have read 13 articles in the last 1 year, but more, if you follow now, why not give us something? This is what media, especially if you want to be independent. So you can see Lord Tolo that we talked about. He was the former British High Commissioner during the early years of an independent Nigeria that we know was created. But what he talked about is very, very important. And I've highlighted it here. It says, and I quote, I sometimes wonder whether I did the right thing in keeping Nigeria together. Remember that we talked about him? Not just about him alone. We also talked about another man called David Hunt. David Hunt was a racist that was also used during the time. David Hunt was the Nigeria former High Commissioner in Nigeria. And as we know, then he was representing his own country. He's a diplomat. And that is David Hunt. As I said to you then, he was also, according to Frederick Foist, told us that between 1967 to 1969, during that civil war, the genocide war, he could have stopped it. But we now know that the journalist that told us that David Hunt was a snob, he was also a racist. He represented the diplomatic corps whose blithering incompetence failed to appreciate or deal with the tension that erupted in the Nigerian Civil War. Is this new Nigerian British High Commissioner, which is Sir Richard Montegori, is he going to do something different? Or is he going to also push the same agenda? This is it. This is the current British High Commissioner in Nigeria that is looking away as if they are not aware that Nnamdi Kanu is presently being held as someone that should not be in the prison after being kidnapped and brought back to Nigeria. So Richard Montegori will play the same role as David Hunt did in 1966. Time will tell. But they are pushing their own agenda. And what agenda are they pushing? They are saying to many Nigerians, oh, come and do business. Bring cotton. And this is what they posted to start with on the June 7th, just about a few days back. And it goes like this. Did you know, I don't know, that 6.4% tariff has been removed on the woven cotton and all tariff removed on the woven apparel for export to the United Kingdom? Now, ṣé àwọn farmers tó tó ń bá wọn sùn tó ń ṣe jàǹbá fún wọn ṣáwọn ló máa lè gbé cotton. Ẹ bá mi bi Richard Montgomery, the current British High Commissioner to Nigeria. Ẹ bá mi béèrè lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ pé ṣé àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá tí Fúlàní ń pa tí wọ́n dẹ̀ wà wẹ́ẹ̀ tó dákẹ́ tó sọ̀rọ̀ ṣáwọn ló máa lè gbé cotton tó fẹ́ export wá sí UK? That is the first question. He went further to say again in this other one, are you a Nigerian farmer looking to export your agri-produce to the UK? Save money with the duty-free or import taxes on 99% product with the DCTS. For more info and export support, contact blah blah blah. So in terms of you as a farmer, you can export rather your agri produce. Ẹ bá mi bi bàbá yìí pé ṣé ó mọ tó ń sọ ṣá? Because it seems that he's living in a different world entirely. We are talking about a Yoruba land that is being in danger, that many people are being massacred and killed that cannot make it to the farm. And if he doesn't know, maybe we should first allow him to listen to how our leader spoke that kò ń ṣọ̀rọ̀ ogun a máa gba Yorùbá nation, but a gbọ́dọ̀ jẹ́ kí Britain mọ̀ pé ọ̀rọ̀ agriculture tó ní ká wá export wá sí UK. Yes, I want us to bring it to UK, but we are finding it difficult to go to the farm because the farm is no longer the farm that we know even over 30-40 years ago. It is now going into danger for many of us. Ẹ jẹ́ ká gbọ́ ilé.
Gbogbo ẹ̀yin ọmọ ọ̀dọ́ tá a jọ ń káàkiri ọ̀dọ́jọ́ ni wá. Ẹ mọ̀ jẹ́ kí a fi àyè gba Fúlàní lórí ilẹ̀ àwọn bàbá wa. Ẹ mọ̀ jẹ́ ká bú ọba mọ́. Ẹ mọ̀ jẹ́ ká bú jòyè mọ́. Nígbà tá a la fẹ́ jà fún àwọn ọ̀rẹ́ wa, táwa ń kọ́kọ́ ń bú ọba, tá ń bú jòyè. Èmi náà ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ rí. Bọ́ mo pera mi padà. Ẹ mọ̀ jẹ́ ká bú àgbààgbà kankan mọ́. Ẹ mọ̀ bolóṣèlú kankan. Ẹ̀rù kálukú ń bẹ̀rù wọn ò lè sọ̀rọ̀. Ọba ò lè sọ, ìjòyè lè sọ. Ẹ jẹ́ ká ronú. Ẹ mọ̀ jẹ́ ká bá àwọn bàbá jà mọ́. Ẹ mọ̀ jẹ́ á bú wọn mọ́. Ẹ mọ̀ jẹ́ á ṣe wọ́n ra wọn pẹ̀lú wọn. Àwọn àgbà tó bá jó lóṣèlú tá bá fẹ́ kọ́ rẹ̀ wá lọ́wọ́ á gbé wọn mọ́ra á gbé wọn mọ́ra ni à ní bú wọn mọ́. Ẹ mọ̀ jẹ́ á ṣèjẹ̀gbọ́n, ẹ mọ̀ jẹ́ á dàlúrú. A lè gba ẹ̀tọ́ wa láì ṣèjẹ̀gbọ́n. A lè gba ẹ̀tọ́ wa láì yìnbọn. A lè gba ẹ̀tọ́ wa láì dàlúrú. Gbogbo protest mo ṣe ní ìlú Nàìjíríà mi ò rí ibi tí mo ti ẹnìkan lè sọ pé mo pààyàn tàbí mo jó nǹkan náà tàbí mo bà nǹkan jẹ́. Mo lọ písù torí pé olówó lèmi náà tí ò bá sólówó lára ń dì mọ́. Gbogbo nǹkan tó lọ́n fún yẹn lọ́lọ́run fún mi. Mi ṣe tálákà tó dé pé mo dìde fún jà Yorùbá. Big man ni mi, àwọn tó jẹ́ ọ̀rẹ́ mi tó súnmọ́ mi tó ní owó ní kí ni mo wá lọ bẹ̀. Pé sọ́wọ́ lè mò ń fẹ́ ni kí n sọ yìí tí mo fẹ́, mo ní ìsọ̀rọ̀ owó. Àní ọ̀rọ̀ ìran mi ni mò ń sọ. Kí n wọ gbowó, kí n gbéra, kí n pé mò ń lọ ọ̀dọ̀ ọba àgbowó, mò ń lọ ọ̀dọ̀ oníbodè òfin gbowó, kí n kójó wọlé kọ́kàn mi balẹ̀, kí n dá wa mọ́tò kí n mọ́ rìn bọ̀, kí Fúlàní mọ́ da mi dúró títì, kí n délé kí bàbá sọ pé kí n gbé tírélà sùn kí n mọ́ gbé lọ. Àwọn bàbá wo lè lóko mọ́, wọn ò lè lóńdò. Ẹ jẹ́ ká fọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ ká ti àwọn bàbá wa lẹ́yìn, ká dá security ti wá lẹ̀, ká sọ fún wọn kí wọ́n bá wa fọwọ́ tì í, ká lé wọn kó nu oko wa. Ẹ ṣé mo dúpẹ́, Jésù Olúwa wa.
Ẹ̀yin ọmọ Nàìjíríà, ẹ tún wá gbọ́ tuntun ní ìlú Ìlọ́ra. Ó gba àwọn tí ẹ ń wò yìí, ọmọ bíbí ìlú Ìlọ́ra ni wọ́n, àgbẹ̀ ni wọ́n. Àwọn kan ń bẹ tí wọ́n pè ní agro rangers. Àwọn agro rangers yìí láti inú civil defence ni wọ́n ti yọ wọ́n. Àwọn yẹn ni wọ́n rí sí àwọn àgbẹ̀ àti Fúlàní bí wọ́n bá fi màálù jẹko.
Can we ask the British High Commissioner whether he knows what he's talking about? Whether he's aware of the danger that his own country has forced us into with these criminal terrorist jihadists that have destroyed the Yoruba land and also other part of Nigeria. And they are now talking about export of agro produce. How do you export agro produce when farmers cannot get to the farm? Am I confused? Am I confused? Because this man known as Richard Montgomery, remember that another British High Commissioner in 1966 failed to allow what could have been something that could have been resolved that led to the Nigerian Civil War. He was incompetent. He failed to appreciate or deal with the tension. He lied. Is it going to be the same thing with the current British High Commissioner known as Richard Montegory? Richard Montegory is talking about how we can bring agri-produce to United Kingdom. But what he has not been able to tell us is what and how do we grow all these agro-produce? Ọ̀nà wo la máa fi grow ẹ̀? This is his face. Ojú ẹ̀ lélẹ̀. Ẹ bá mi bèrè lọ́wọ́ Dr. Richard Montegory, the British High Commissioner to Nigeria, a former UK Executive Director at the World Bank, and I'll be telling you also what he said about the new loan Tinubu ti lọ gbà, which is 2.5 billion. So that means they are the same agendarists, and we're not in the same set of people. He was a former UK Executive Director at the World Bank. The Owa nínú òun dùn bí wọ́n ti yá Tinubu lówó. We're gonna come back there. I am first dealing with him telling Yoruba people, Igbo people, Hausa people that you can bring your agri-produce. Kí ló mean by that? Your banana, your palm nut, your cotton, your guguru, your epa, whatever that you are growing in Yoruba land, you can bring it. Yes, it's a business opportunity. If I want to do that, but the problem is, àwọn tá a fẹ́ gbéṣẹ́ yẹn fún nílẹ̀ Yorùbá, they are in danger. They are telling us that they are being killed. They are being forced out of their farm, and the evidence are there. But the Dr. Richard Montegory doesn't seem to be seeing it, but behind him, you can see that he's showing the north, because this is the north. I can tell you that because I can look at the structure, I can look at the people. This is not the Yoruba land. Bóyá àwọn north ló ń bá sọ̀rọ̀, mo rò pé ó ń bá Yorùbá sọ̀rọ̀. Ẹ̀yin ọmọ Yorùbá, wake up. I am telling you, there is an hidden agenda to keep Yoruba people from not able to sustain in the food security. Gbọ́ mi dáadáa. There is an agenda that keep the North going to feed us and then delay food coming into Yoruba land. Then they want to start export. Remember that the North told us that they will cut out bringing food to the Southwest. We are sitting on a keg of gunpowder with food security. But adẹ̀ ń sọ fáwọn bàbá pé ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ ti bá wa ṣe summit kan. Ẹ bá wa ṣe completion of that summit, that security summit, so that we can then decide what to do. Because all these governors, all these criminal governors, I don't think they understand that Yoruba food security kò ń ṣe tó kọ̀ wá máa sọ ní ṣẹpẹrẹ. Yoruba people in Ilora wants to export their produce to UK now. Ṣebí Yorùbá ló pọ̀ ju UK lọ, ṣé Hausa ló wà ní UK ni? We have more Yoruba people that are living in UK. So àwọn tó wà ní Ìlọ́ra and across all the Yoruba countries, I mean the state, from Kwara to Kogi, all the way down to Ekiti, Ondo State, wọ́n fẹ́ produce so that they can export. And then we can bring it down here and sell it at all the market across the United Kingdom. But they are having difficulties. They are having problems and issues getting into the farm. We're not even talking about the bad road network. We are talking about the biggest threat in the history of mankind. People that have now leveraged their weapon and want to force people in Ilora out of that community. Let's go back to that video. My name is Koiki. This is KOIKIMEDIA Live.
àbí nǹkan kan ṣẹlẹ̀ nípa àgbẹ̀ àti Fúlàní orúkọ yín àti tó ṣẹlẹ̀ gan-an ní pàtó.
orúkọ mi ni Awóyalé Samuel Olúyẹmí láti ìlú Ìlọ́ra. níjẹta tí bàbá lọ sóko.
bàbá wo.
bàbá Pópóọlá Iyọlá. bàbá lóko láti lọ nú sàkásù nínú oko wọn. tó bàbá nígbà táwọn dóko àwọn ti bá àwọn Fúlàní nínú oko àwọn. báwọn ti wá yọ lọ́ọ̀kan tí wọ́n bá ń sọ fáwọn pé àwọn pẹ́ ẹran àwọn àbápẹ́ ẹran pípa báwo ni wọ́n bá ń pèsè bí oògùn tí ìwọ́dà oko ni fúnra Fúlàní náà lọ bẹ̀rẹ̀ tí ń sa oògùn tó bá dúró bí báyìí yóò sa oògùn tó bá bọ́ bẹ̀rù yóò sa oògùn ní sa oògùn bàbá jà àwọn ò da oògùn sóko àwọn ọmọ kankan nípa oògùn ìyẹn ti ń sọ lọ́kọ̀ pẹ́ náà lọ́ bá pe àwọn agbórinjà bá dé ìyẹn bá ti gbé bàbá ìyẹn àwọn tó wà ní Ọ̀yọ́ àtọ̀yọ́ ìyẹn ti wá gbé àwọn bàbá sí Ìbàdàn ìyẹn lánàá tó ibẹ̀.
Too much. We have now understood the game, the globalist agenda according to Keke Okos. Baba Moses Olarinoni, 12-month calendar is even big enough to change things around or to start a new wave of thinking right. Yoruba nation only. Let's go back to Dr. Richard Montgomery, the British High Commissioner in Nigeria, as he continued to push that we should export agri-produce. I don't know who he's communicating with. I don't know who he's talking to, whether he's talking to the north, the southeast, that they've kept their citizen that he's not talking about, which is Nnamdi Kanu. He also went further to say that, okay, we've read that. Now, let's come back to something he said again that I'm thinking, are these people serious? This is what Richard Montgomery posted again today at about 7 a.m. Let's read further. As a former United Kingdom ex-director at the World Bank, so that means that ó ṣiṣẹ́ ní World Bank, ìyẹn arákùnrin yìí. That means that the same hidden agenda of the globalists to make sure that the Africa continue to be pumped with loans that would destroy their economy. They might not agree with me, but we know that that is the agenda, because gbogbo loan tí wọ́n ti ń gbà for the last 25 years, nobody can tell me what they've done with it. But he's saying that I know the board approval of this package. What is the package? The new $2.5 billion tí World Bank share issue from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the federal government of Nigeria. Òun wá sọ pé I know pé òun mọ̀ dájú pé the board àwọn tó pètò pé kó gbowó yẹn fún Tinubu approval of this package. Kí ni package náà? Loan. Kí ló bá wá? What are the things that is attaching? Kí làwọn string ìwọ ọmọ Yorùbá tó ń struggle lẹ́nìí? The string that is attached to that $2.5 billion loan is what we don't know. Ṣé Tinubu máa lo gbogbo loan yẹn for the purpose, or it will be stolen again, whether by Tinubu, whether by his cronies, because Tinubu kọ́ ló máa manage gbogbo owó yẹn. The money comes into the country. The World Bank cannot monitor it. The money will be say, a máa ṣe títì ní bíbá. We need 1 billion. Out of that 1 billion, 5 billion, half a billion is gone. Tinubu cannot monitor all the 2.5 billion. But the money is being borrowed under a citizen that is called the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which myself and you are included. So ìwọ tó ń sọ pé kò pẹ́, wọ́n ti lọ yá owó lórí Nigeria again. Èyí tó yá tẹ́lẹ̀ ṣì ń bẹ níbẹ̀. Wọ́n tún lọ yá sí. So let's go further. But again and again, I just want us to remember that this particular British High Commissioner, he was also one time, according to him, a UK ex-director at the World Bank. He went further. The package is about more than finance. Ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn ní kìmí nínú. Ó ní package yẹn is more than finance. It is about recognizing the recent macroeconomic reforms, signaling the wider investors' confidence in Nigeria. What investors? We know that investors are leaving Nigeria because there is no confidence. But this British High Commissioner, Dr. Richard Montgomery, is telling Nigerians that there is confidence in the country. That is the reason why 2.5 billion has been given to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to manage. He went further that the economic management team are supporting the country through a tough times. This is the World Bank 20 hours ago stated clearly. The World Bank unveils new funding to support #Nigeria reforms in response to economic challenges while enhancing support for the poor and the vulnerable to ease the impact of the rising living cost. Whatever that means, I don't know. But let's read through the press release coming from the World Bank, another globalist agenda that Tinubu might be working for, and he must have forgotten about Yoruba ló kàn, Odùduwà ni mí tó ń pariwo ní 25 years ago. So ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń retí pé Tinubu máa gbé yín débì kan, kọbẹ̀ Elédùmarè kò jẹ́ kí gbogbo yín kò gbé yín débẹ̀. Again, this was posted yesterday. Press release. Anything that is coming like this means that it has been authenticated, it has been confirmed. There's no gimmick about it. But whether this will make your life better, má tọrọ owó lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀mí Tinubu ti lọ gba 2.5 billion tí World Bank sọ pé ó máa mú ẹ lára yá, ó máa jẹ́ ká yẹ bẹ́tà. Ìwọ tó ń tọrọ owó lọ́wọ́ diaspora ní sùúrù fún Tinubu láti make owó yìí kó dọ́dọ̀ tiẹ̀ náà. How it's going to get to you is what I don't know. But please and please, mo kí láti Germany, mo kí ní America, mo kí ní Canada, mo kí nílẹ̀ Yorùbá ní Nàìjíríà, mo kí ní Kano, mo kí àwọn Biafra, mo kí ní gbogbo African countries. Again, a fẹ́ lọ sí ojúde ọba. If anybody wants to sponsor us, let me know so that I can prepare my team within the next 24 hours so that I can travel down to Jebode and give us a live broadcast of what ojúde ọba looks like. But without funding, we're not going anywhere. It's as simple as that. Ẹ má bínú sí wa. No funding. Èyí tẹ̀lé máa ń pè wá. Koiki, I want you to go and investigate something. We can't investigate if there's no funding. Funding, owó lọ fi ń ṣe media. But we appreciate many of you that are saying that Koiki, ní tó pọ̀, we will continue to help you, but it is not covering any of what we are trying to do. It is very, very low. Give us that support so that Koiki Media can bring all this. Irú eléyìí nísìn, ó yẹ ká translate sí Yoruba. Ká wá ṣe kíni, ká wá ṣe copy tó pọ̀, because a Yoruba person does not know that they got 2.5 billion. Ó dẹ̀ ń tọrọ owó lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀mí, Mr. Koiki fún mi lówó, ebi ń pa mí, no, èmi kọ́ ni máa fún ẹ lówó. Tinubu ti lọ yá owó tó fẹ́ fi ṣe life yìí tó máa better. But we need to work to bring this information on a understanding note. Kò ń ṣe mi nìkan mo fẹ́ máa ṣe. I have multiple of my team that are ready to work, but without funding, there's less that we can do. But stop Yoruba Nation campaign tá à ń bá lọ. We will continue to push and do as much as what we can do. Once again, we appreciate Oloye Igbowo's daughter, as we were doing yesterday, as she's celebrating out of a very beautiful, let's look for Oloye here. Where's my search quickly? Let's see if I can find him on the, I know sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not there. If not, I will just go and search. Moki gbogbo alẹ́ nǹkan sí, and Barika Jimoh fún gbogbo ọmọ Mùsùlùmí àti àwọn tó kì í ṣe ẹlẹ́sìn Mùsùlùmí. So let's search for Sunday Igboho, and let's go and appreciate the daughter that graduated yesterday. Let me mute my mic.
Distinction. Bisola Sarah Adeyemo with distinction.
So congratulations once again on behalf of the Yoruba people, on behalf of millions of Yoruba people that have stood with your father, and we will continue to stand with him gidigba. Ibi tó bá ń lọ làwa ń lọ. Tell the governors that they are not representing us when it comes to pay and condemn Yoruba Nation. Yes, they are representing Nigerians, but they're not representing us when it comes to Yoruba Nation. How many to represent to her? And that is the only one leader that we are following, known as Professor Adebanji Akintoye and Dr. Chief Sunday Omadeyemo Igboho. So Oloye Igboho, akídílé yín, a sọ pé congratulations, our beautiful daughter, auntie, sister, known as Igboho's daughter. Let's move out of there and come back here. So let me read quickly the press release in English. I might not be able to do the Yoruba, but like I said, I'm sure ẹni tó gbọ́ Igbo agbọ́ tátàtà tá máa kà síta. Press release June 13, 2024. Supporting Nigerians' homegrown reforms. New World Bank financing for inclusive growth and revenue diversification. Washington, June 13, 2024. The World Bank has today approved 2 operations, 1.5 billion for the Nigeria reforms for economic stabilization to enable transformation, development policy, financing program, DPF, and another $750 million for Nigeria Accelerating Resources Mobilization Reforms, AMO, Program for Result, P for R. This combined 2.25 billion package provide immediate financial and technical support to Nigeria's urgent effort to stabilize the economy and scale up support to the poor and the most economical at risk. It further supports Nigeria's ambitious multi-year effort to raise non-oil revenues and safeguard oil revenues to promote fiscal sustainability and provide sufficient resources to deliver quality public services. Confronting with the fragile economic situation, Nigeria recognized the urgency of changing course and embark on critical reforms to address economic distortions and strengthening the fiscal outlook. Initial critical steps to restore macro stability, boost revenues, and create the conditions to reignite growth and poverty reduction having been taken. These include unifying the multiple official exchange rate and fostering a market-determined official rate, as well as sharply adjusting gasoline prices to begin to phase out the costly, regressive, and opaque gasoline subsidy. The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has refocused on its core mandate of price stability and its tightening monetary policy, including by increasing interest rate as is appropriate to reduce inflation. A target cash transfer program is being rolled out to cushion the impact of high inflation on the poor and economically insecure households. We have embarked on bold and necessary reforms to restore macroeconomic and stability and put the country back on a sustainable and inclusive economic growth path that will create quality jobs and economic opportunities for all Nigerians, said Wale Edun, Nigeria's Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy. We welcome the support of the Reset and AMO programs as we further consolidate, implement our macro fiscal and social protection policy reforms consistent with accelerating investment and redirecting public resources sustainably to achieve development priorities. Nigerians' concerted effort to implement for reaching macro fiscal reform place it on a new path which can stabilize its economy and lift its people out of poverty. It is critical to sustain the reform momentum and continue to scale up and expand protection to the poor and economically at risk to cushion the effect of cost of living pressures on citizens, said Osuma Diagana, the World Bank Vice President for Western and Central Africa. This financing package reinforces the World Bank's strong partnership with Nigeria and our support towards reinvigorating its economy and fast-tracking poverty reduction, which can serve as a beacon for Africa. The Reset DPEP is focused on supporting Nigeria strengthening its economic policy framework by creating fiscal space and protecting the poor and economically insecure. The AMO Pro for R will support efforts to implement tax and excise reform, strengthening tax revenue and customs administration, and safeguard oil revenues. The International Development Association, IDA, is the World Bank Fund for the Poorest. It was established in 1960. It provides grant and low to zero interest loan for projects and programs that boost economic growth, reduce poverty, improve poor people's lives. International Development Association, IDA, is one of the largest sources of assistance for the world's 76 poorest countries, including Nigeria, 39 of which are in Africa, including Nigeria. International Development Association IDA, resources help effect positive change in the lives of the 1.6 billion people living in the countries, including Nigeria, that are eligible for its assistance, including Yoruba people. Since its inception, International Development Association IDA has supported development work in 113 countries as Nigeria. Annual commitment are consistently on the rise and have averaged $21 billion over the past 3 years. Gbogbo tí mo kà yìí ò ní láti ní understanding ni. In tó kàn sọ ni pé by this time next year o máa ti di olówó díẹ̀ nínú Nàìjíríà. By this time next year epo máa lọ́lẹ̀. By this time next, I'm trying to make it look at least for the next 1 year, so that tó bá máa fi di this time next year lágbára Ọlọ́run, lágbára Jésù Kristi, kọ́lọ̀ fún gbogbo alẹ́mìí gúngún àtàláfíà. So wàá ṣe sùúrù díẹ̀, ìwọ tẹ́bí ń pa, ìwọ tí yà ń jẹ, ìwọ tí gbogbo kan ṣe. Torí pé Tinubu ti lọ gba 2.5 billion. Gbogbo tí mo dẹ̀ ń gbọ́ níbi báyìí ni pé àwọn mẹ̀kúnnù ló máa fi ràn lọ́wọ́. Ìwọ tó dẹ̀ sọ pé ara ń ní ẹ́, ara ń kan ẹ́, gbogbo nǹkan ń ṣe ẹ́, wàá lọ ṣe sùúrù ni. Má wàá fi tiẹ̀ ní àwa lára. Tá bá fún ẹ accept, tá bá fún ẹ má sọ dìjà, má lọ ṣògùn sí wa, má sàsí wa. Àwa kọ́ la gba owó yìí, Tinubu àti ìjọba rẹ̀ ló gbà á. Bí Buhari àti Ọ̀ṣínbàjò náà ṣe gbà nìyẹn, bí Jonathan náà ṣe gbà nìyẹn. What are we eating? Èdè máa ń pa mí. Àbọ̀rọ̀ mi ẹ má bínú, ẹ mọ̀ pé ọ̀rọ̀ ibi náà lèmi náà ń sọ bíbá. So èyí tó wà nílẹ̀ nísìnyí, má blame Yorùbá nation pé òun ló lọ gba 2.5 billion àmọ́ kọ́kọ́ nípa ẹ̀. Mo kàn ń ṣàlàyé fún ẹ kó lè bá yéwọ tí ara ń kan tára ń ni. Tára bá wá ní ẹ tó mọ̀ pé probability wà pé wọn náà máa disburse owó kan fẹ́yìn mẹ̀kúnnù. Tó bá ti mọ̀ pé owó yàn ní dọ́dọ̀ tiẹ̀, ìwọ tètè darapọ̀ mọ́ Yorùbá nation kájọ gbóhùn sókè. Tó bá wá ní ògbóhùn sókè, wàá lọ ní sùúrù fún Tinubu bó ṣe fẹ́ pín owó yìí, ibi tó fẹ́ channel ẹ̀ sí èmi ò mọ̀. I am not part of the government, but what I know is that kò ń ṣe léèní láti ń gba loan. Ìyẹn lọ bẹ́ẹ̀. Ẹ jẹ́ ká wá sọ́dọ̀ àwọn gómìnà wa tí wọ́n sọ pé àwọn ọmọ kankan nípa ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá nation. Yorùbá nation jà wọ́n lójú, kò jà wọ́n lógún. N tó jà wọ́n lógún lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ nísìn, òun ni pé báwọn ṣe máa make Nàìjíríà kó work látara iṣẹ́ táwọn bá lọ. Well, a mọ̀ pé Akérédolú ti lọ, kọ́lọ́run kó ṣe kíni, èyí tó bá ṣe kọ́jọ máa lọ yanjú ẹ̀, kò sẹ́ni tó kú tó padà, òun ló mọ tó ń rí lọ́hùn. Now wọ́n ti fi Sanwó-Olú, wọ́n ti fi jẹ ìyẹn chairman Southwest Governor. Àwọn kan bí mi pé Koiki kí ló ṣẹlẹ̀, àárí Kwara àti Kogi nínú àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ tó post nípa Southwest Governor. Mo ní ṣé ó mọ̀ pé àwọn Kwara àti Kogi ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ni, àmọ́ àwọn Sàràkí agenda wọ́n pùṣẹ̀ lọ sọ́nà north torí pé Sàràkí náà sì fi jẹ president Nàìjíríà. Àníyàn ẹ̀ àtàgẹ́ndà ìyẹn bó ṣe ń ṣẹnu múkúlù àtìyàwó ẹ̀ yẹn. But now tí Sanwó-Olú ti di Southwest chairman, Adeleke, Mákindé, Dàpọ̀ Abíọ́dún àti Ayétidá, Tiwa Lucky àti Èkìtì àti Ondo, kí ni wọ́n wá sọ nípa communique tó jáde? Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu emerged as the chairman of the Southwest Governor Forum, ìyẹn ní ìjọ Monday ọ̀sẹ̀ tí a mú yìí. The governor who read the communique, kí ló ń pè ní communique? In tó decide, kò wá mí pé tó ń decide yẹn, àwọn lè decide ó má ní kankan ṣe pè láwa. Lóòótọ́ wọ́n dárúkọ wa nínú ìrìn àjò náà. After the meeting behind closed door at the Lagos House Ikeja was anonymously nominated by his colleagues, there's nothing wrong with that. The governor said the forum deliberated extensively on several matters, but matter ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá nation kò kàn wọ́n. Matter ọ̀rọ̀ Yorùbá nation kò ń ṣe tí ó wà lára matter tó wà nílẹ̀. Noting that the governors also paid their respect sí Akérédolú, àìmọye ọmọ Yorùbá tó ti kú before Akérédolú náwó state láti lọ fi gbàtọ́jú ní Germany torí pé kò fix hospital nílùú Ondo state. Kò sáwá awáyé má lọ kò sí. Ìyẹn ló ṣe sọ pé ẹ jẹ́ ká wo èní má wo ọ̀la. Now, he said the forum restated his call for state police ṣe rántí pé state police náà ni Tinubu pariwo ní 1999 ní tí mò ń ṣó kò wá ṣá látẹ̀kàn lápolójàlá ilé ẹ má bínú. So I've not posted anything that's, oh my God. I thought I was showing something now. Yeah, ẹ má bínú. Ẹ rántí pé Tinubu sọ̀rọ̀ state police. Màá tún rán yín létí, ìyẹn la ṣe cut video yẹn níwọ̀nba 1 minute so that a lè tètè máa ṣe gbọ́. Torí pé a gbọ́dọ̀ máa play continuously. Torí pé ẹlòmíì nísìn tó ń bá Yorùbá nation jà. The same thing tí àwa ń bá lọ òun náà ni Tinubu sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí ní 25 years ago. But Tinubu ó dìre kò dìre o. Time will tell. Because he has been there 1 year. Àwọn kan ló ti wà too early. Bọ́jà gbọ́n tó sọ ní bíbá nípa state police. Ó ní ṣe mọ̀ pé mo ti béèrè fún ọlọ́pàá tó máa jẹ́ state police but ẹ rí ọ̀rọ̀ state police ó dùn sọ lẹ́nu bí ìgbà tí yàn fi mọ́ínmọ́ín àti ẹ̀kọ sínú ẹnu but it has to go through the Senate. It has to go through step 1, step 2, step 3. Ǹjẹ́ agenda wà fún àwọn ẹ̀yà tó kù including whether they are Igbos, the Middle Belt, gbogbo ẹni tó wà nínú Senate? Are they also on the same agenda for a state police bí Tinubu ṣe sọ ní 1999, 25 years ago? Tí àwọn gómìnà tiẹ̀ náà wá rán Tinubu létí pé Jagaban, you said it in 1999 that state police, I have called for it. You are now the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Would you tell all the senators, just as you were quick to change the national anthem, would they do that? Time will tell. Let's go back and listen to the write-up as I'm reading earlier. Once again, my name is Oluwole Koiki, and what you're watching is a live transmission, and we are just about 2 hours into the program. We might wind it down because I might want to come back out later or not, but for now, it's been a long day for me, and I just want to wind it down so that I can refresh, and I can then hopefully have more strength and allow the family. They've gone upstairs. I'm working remotely from the house, and it's a Friday. It seems I'm already destabilized as usual, like I do in the last 4 years of this movement. But my family are happy with that. But I will be bringing this program to an end just as in the next 12 minutes. So we might continue either today, tomorrow, whenever I can make it out again. But you can't down Governor Soton. The Governor Forum restated its call for state police and also pledged support for the federal government regarding the deliberation of the minimum wage tripartite committee. Ṣé àwọn gómìnà ilẹ̀ Yorùbá ṣé wọ́n lè san sálárì tí wọ́n ní kó san ìyẹn àwọn NLC? Time will tell. Sanwó-Olú said the forum commended the federal government on the flag up of the construction of the Lagos-Calabar. Ó ṣe push Tinubu kó bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe Lagos-Ibadan expressway àti Sango-Ọ̀tà tó ń mú àwọn èèyàn lómi tó ń ba businesses jẹ́. But ẹ wà more interested pẹ̀lú Lagos-Calabar. Bóyá wọ́n prepare pé nígbà tí gádà àti bíbá já wálẹ̀, bóyá eléyà lè máa ṣiṣẹ́ fún wa, ìyẹn ló ṣe fẹ́ tètè ṣe lè, èmi ò mọ̀. Àwa náà lè mọ agenda tó wà lẹ́yìn àwọn gómìnà yìí. Bóyá àwọn náà lájẹ́ndà pé Yorùbá nation ni, àmọ́ kò ṣeé sọ síta káwọn northerner kọ́ má bàa sọ pé kí ló dé. Èní ni 14th oṣù kẹfà ọdún 2024, ẹ ṣé gan ni. because I haven't mentioned that for a while. He also said that the forum adopted iṣẹ́ wa fúnlẹ̀ wa, bẹ́ẹ̀ tẹ́ adopted àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá ti accept pé anthem wa ni, àwọn ò ní bá yín ka anthem fún yẹn tí àwọn senator olè tí wọ́n sáré parẹ́ tó gbé èyí tí àwọn colonizer wa. So ẹni tó bá ń sọ pé wọ́n ti fún wa ní adoption Yorùbá anthem, ọgbọ́n káfẹ́ràn sẹ́nu ẹ bá mi parí ẹ̀. Àwọn gómìnà yìí kàn wá nǹkan tó máa tù wá lọ́kàn tí kò ní jẹ́ ká bọ́ sí gbòòrò. Àwọn ọ̀dẹ́ ń ṣe jàǹdùkú nígbà tá a bá máa bọ́ sí gbòòrò ní right láti yìnbọn pa wá, ní right nítorí pé Tinubu náà a ti rí ní evidence nísìnyí, yàtọ̀ sí pé a rí Tinubu tó fẹnu ara ẹ̀ sọ pé òun ò fẹ́ Nàìjíríà ò kì í ṣe country, ẹ bá mi fà wálẹ̀. Ó sọ àrí ẹ̀rí yẹn, kò ń ṣe pé mi ni mo ṣe ń sọ pé Tinubu fúnra rẹ̀ tó ń pè ní Jagaban, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, ó sọ ni pé òun ó kọ nínú pépà, a tún wá rí ní èdè tó fi sọ. Ẹ jẹ́ ká gbọ́n tí Tinubu sọ pẹ̀lú pépà tó ń wà lẹ́gbẹ̀ẹ́ yìí, méjèèjì nísìn ti wá line, because tẹ́lẹ̀ paper one là ń rí, a ti wá rí proper evidence tí Tinubu fẹnu ara ẹ̀ sọ, kí ló sọ àti pé nígbà wo ló sọ. Ọ̀rọ̀ tẹ́ ń gbọ́ yìí èmi kọ́ ni mo lọ dọ́tẹ̀. Tinubu ò lè sọ pé wọ́n join it together. It's a 8-minute video a ti play at the beginning of this broadcast. 1 minute tó kù yìí a kò máa lò frequently. Ètò yìí máa wá sílẹ̀ in the next 9 minutes. Bá ti ṣe sọ mò ń bọ̀ mo ti dé.
Wọ́n sọ̀rọ̀ bí ọ̀rọ̀ epo àwọn á di 200 á di bàbá. Ẹ fọkàn balẹ̀, a máa gbé wálẹ̀.
Ẹ lọ fọkàn balẹ̀, ẹ lọ fọkàn balẹ̀.
One child, recruit 50 million youths.
As the program is coming to an end on a Friday evening on this live transmission, Koiki Media, discussing the Yoruba Nation self-determination, which is a right, on the 14th of June 2024. A lot of areas will touch this particular conversation. The topic remained that is President Tinubu and Akintoye, who among the two wants the future of the Yoruba people in a Yoruba country? Is it President Bola Tinubu that told us in 1999, 25 years ago, that the Yoruba people can have a country, they can have their own state police, they can be able to work things around and protect and have a strong economy, and if we have to borrow loan from the World Bank, it will be under a Yoruba nation? Or is it the professor of history that is looking to the future and saying that the path to the Yoruba glory, it is now or never. And if we do not allow the prosperity of the Yoruba people to exit Nigeria right now under the good news path to prosperity in our Orileede Yoruba, we might all be going into extinction. And this is how I'll be ending this particular discussion on a Friday evening. And we hope that many people will support whoever you can support towards this important day for the Muslim people in Nigeria, especially in the Southwest that are struggling. And if you cannot support, just pray for our people back home that they sustain and survive until Tinubu manage the 2.5 billion US dollars that is getting from the World Bank that will then eventually help them. And if all that is not going to help them, it is then time for the Yoruba people to come back home and start looking inward, because the only option that can give us a proper way of life and come out of this poverty level that Nigeria stand today at $1.90, not even up to $2, because of what Lugard and the wife created in the 1914 amalgamation. Many Yoruba people can no longer have a proper meal and they are struggling. And on that note, in the next 4 minutes, I'll just say Mokibugwa. Briefly, Orileede, thank you so much for your time. Senior Evangelist John, thank you so much. My uncle, a very good lover, all the way from Germany, Babawa Benjamin Adumati. My brother, Egbomidada, Mr. Fab, thank you so much for taking my call in the last couple of days. And also, Egbomi Yemi Patuki, thank you for the concern all the way from Yoruba land all the time. Kunle Bakers, Latif Owosheni, Maize Gold, thank you so much. Olawonyi Ibrahim, Babami Moses, Olaniran, Triple DRS, Ayuba, my brother, love you so much. And also Unich, all the way from Canada, Adegoroye Opeyemi Abisa, thank you so much. Iyawa, my mom, and as many of our mothers that have joined us, Ojile baby, Iyawa Joke Akifewa, and Babawa, Adeolu Adewale, as many Tunde Aremu, Yami Elizabeth Adesoya, one of our mother, a grandmother, Pastor Mo, in-law, our Fulani terrorists killed him in Port Harcourt this week. We pray for the soul of the departed, as many people that have killed. Thank you so much. One man went to Mo. I've been discussing. I didn't see you. I just cited you. Thank you so much. And good work to every one of us. Whether you're on this side or that side, it does not matter. Like I said, the most important thing is the Yoruba is now in a very critical stage. And it is important that we keep the conversation open for as much discussion as well as too cool. Thank you so much. Alubarika. Akalamago TV, thank you so much. Oluwasheye, Babami, Olawale, and Labi, and as many of you that have joined us on Mr. Kim, Oluwadamilare, Iyawa Ani, Bolaji Mofiteledumare Kinyi, Opeyemi Alade, Olas Agbaje Wasiofemi, Obara, Egbomidada, thank you so much. Keke Okus, Eric Joby, Julius, and the rest of many of you that are watching silently, Larry Jinodu, Egbomi Peter Oladele, Opeyemi Alade, and if I've missed your name, Eita Walori Mix LR, Allahu Baba, and Akin Games, and many of you that will be watching the repeated program. My name is Olami Koiki, Konisuwa Konirewa. Àwọn governors wa lọ́sẹ̀ mọ̀mọ́ sọ pé ká lọ ka Yoruba anthem pé àwọn ti sọ. I mean, it's a good thing for them, but the Yoruba anthem will remain part of us. Nobody can take that away. We love Awolowo and we will continue to pray for him, the man that saw tomorrow. After this coming back, I will play the anthem and I say bye for now.
The welfare of millions of people for generations to come may be affected by the wisdom which we here display. If Nigerian leaders and our British partners are to prove themselves worthy of their trust, now is the time for us solemnly and truly to dedicate ourselves to seeking the greatest good of the greatest number of our people in Nigeria.